Leary the Suspicious Crocodile and the Cure Conundrum, the final dose. Leary was back, still grumpy, still suspicious, still secretly helping people when they weren't looking. Since the last big scandal, when his nemesis, Greedy Business Bear, was exposed for rigging the vote for the cure, things had been strangely quiet. Almost too quiet, which for a cranky, suspicious, stick-chewing, trench-coat-wearing crocodile detective meant something was very, very wrong. And then it happened. Leary had spent months recovering after his last illness. The cure had worked perfectly. The people were grateful. Even Greedy Business Bear, now a totally legal pharmaceutical investor, was saving lives after his release from prison. For once, everything seemed fine, until the cures started disappearing. At first, it was just one missing cure, a single bottle that vanished without a trace. Then another, and another, then dozens. The cures were disappearing faster than a donut at a police station. Leary chewed on his wooden stick, narrowing his sharp yellow eyes. Something smelled fishy. And for once, it wasn't just him. This was a job for a detective. So, he did what any great detective would do. He grabbed his notebook, adjusted his detective hat, and stomped out the door. It was time to investigate. He stomped around town, accusing everyone. He interrogated Mrs. Buns, the bunny. Leary barged into Bunny Bun's bakery. Flour puffed into the air as Leary slammed his claws on the counter. All right, Buns. Spill the beans. Where's the cure? Mrs. Buns blinked up at him with a blank look in her face. Leary, dear, this is a bakery. We don't spill beans. Leary's eyes narrowed. A likely story, he sniffed, unable to resist the delicious smell, and suddenly feeling his stomach growl, he pointed. What's in those muffins? Mrs. Bunn smiled sweetly. Bananas? Suspicious. Real suspicious, he said. Help yourself, Mrs. Bunn smirked. I suppose I'll have to confiscate one for evidence, replied Leary. He took a muffin and chomped down. Okay, that was a really good muffin, but I'm still watching you. She was cleared, for now. He interrogated Mr. Turner, the turtle, at the park. Leary stomped up to Mr. Turner, who was sunbathing on a rock. All right, shell boy. What do you know about the missing cures? Mr. Turner sighed and adjusted his sunglasses. Leary, I haven't moved from this rock in 3 days. Leary squinted. That was a fairly solid alibi. Still, I'm watching you. Mr. Turtle yawned. You always are. Leary grumbled and moved on. His next interrogation would be Greedy Business Bear at the Greedy Business Bear's pharmacy. Leary had saved the town from Greedy Business Bear's schemes last time, and now the bear was supposedly a changed man, a legitimate businessman. Greedy Business Bear was now in charge of distributing the cure. Leary didn't buy it. It was just too suspicious. So, when he stomped into the pharmacy and saw Greedy nowhere in sight, his suspicion levels skyrocketed. Instead, behind the counter stood a new face, a panda, in a pinstripe suit, smiling way too much for Leary's liking. Suspicious, he mumbled under his breath. Ah, Detective Leary, how can I help you? The panda asked, still grinning. Leary's tail twitched. You're not the usual guy. The panda's smile didn't budge. Mr. Bear is, on vacation. Leary narrowed his eyes. Vacation? That was convenient. The panda folded his hands. What brings you here today? Leary leaned forward. I'm here about the cures. The panda tilted his head. Oh, the missing ones? Leary's tail stiffened. He hadn't mentioned they were missing yet. Suspicious. Real suspicious. Yeah, Leary grunted. And I got a feeling you know something about it. The panda chuckled. Me? Why, detective? I wouldn't dream of stealing. Leary didn't blink. You're grinning way too much. Only guilty people grin that much, especially when given bad news. The panda spread his paws. I simply enjoy my job, and I know that with you on the case, the cures will be found in no time. Leary's eyes never left him. What kind of pharmacy worker wears a pinstripe suit anyway? The panda shrugged. A stylish one? Leary scowled. I don't like you. The panda just smiled wider. That makes two of us. Leary leaned in closer. Where's the cure? The panda leaned in too. I don't know. Both stared at each other for what felt like hours, neither one blinking. After a full 60 seconds of silent glaring, the panda grinned. Maybe you should check out the bank. Leary hated vague answers from suspicious characters, which meant this guy definitely knew something. Before he could push further, the panda slipped into the back room. Leary growled. Suspicious, he muttered. Real suspicious. Leary also hated being lied to. And that panda had lied, which meant one thing. The panda is somehow involved. It was time to visit the bank. Leary adjusted his trench coat, straightening his hat, and stomped out the door. As he walked, he muttered, That's it. I'm starting a list. A list of suspects. 1. Shady panda. 2. Anyone who smiles too much. 3. Anyone who doesn't smile enough. 4. Anyone who looks at me. 5. Anyone who looks too long. 6. Anyone who doesn't give me straight answers. 7. Everyone. Yeah, that seemed thorough, he thought. With his list of suspects complete, he picked up his pace. Something big was happening, and Leary was going to find out what. Even if he had to interrogate every grinning panda, sleepy turtle, and muffin baking bunny in town. Leary hated banks. Not because of the lines, not because of the bad coffee, but because something shady was always happening inside. And today, no exception. Leary stomped up the steps, pushed through the heavy glass doors, and wham! He walked straight into a full-blown robbery. Leary's terrible, no-good, very annoying afternoon just got worse. Jamal, the fox, Bryce, the hyena, and Rick, the raccoon, all former henchmen of Greedy Business Bear, were clearing out the vault. Bryce was swinging a crowbar. Jamal was stuffing cash into a duffel bag. Rick was trying to open the ATM by chewing on it. Leary blinked, then sighed. Oh, come on, again? Jamal turned. Leary, fancy meeting you here. Leary crossed his arms. Yeah. Do we gotta do this again? Bryce smirked. Guess so. Leary sighed dramatically. You ever consider retirement? Rick wiped his mouth. We tried. It's boring. Leary rolled his eyes. Fine. Let's get this over with. Jamal swung first. Leary ducked. Bryce lunged with his crowbar. Rick went for the chewing tactic again. Leary picked him up and threw him into the recycling bin. It was actually kind of impressive. One by one, the henchmen hit the floor. Leary tied them up with office extension cords. Then, hands on his hips, he sighed. All right, talk. Jamal groaned. We were just here for the money, man. Leary squinted. Yeah. Then why'd a shady panda in a suit send me here? Bryce and Jamal exchanged glances. Rick, still tangled in the cord, mumbled, "Uh-oh." Leary leaned in. "Uh-oh?" Jamal gulped. Bryce sighed. All right. Look, the cures. They're not gone. They're being..." And suddenly, a huge crash. A truck smashed through the bank's front wall. Leary jumped back, as bricks and glass went flying everywhere. Smoke filled the air, and stepping out of the driver's seat, looking very much not on vacation, was Greedy Business Bear. Leary's eyes twitched. The worst possible outcome. Greedy adjusted his tie, dusting off his sleeve, and grinned. Oh, Leary, just the guy I was looking for. Leary growled. You again? Greedy chuckled. Yeah, you miss me? Leary's tail whipped the floor. You rigged an election and got thrown in jail for it. What are you doing back in the crime game? Greedy laughed. Come on, old friend. You wound me. Leary snorted. Not yet. Greedy grinned wider. I'm not a criminal. I'm an opportunist. And you're in my way. Leary cracked his knuckles. So what's the deal? You stealing money and cures now? Greedy held up a remote. No, he said smugly. Just the cures. Leary's blood went cold. Leary's no good, awful, terrible day just got worse. Again. Before Leary could move, the back of the truck swung open. Stacks of the cure bottles, hundreds of them, lined the cargo hold. Leary's heart sank. Every single missing cure was inside. Greedy wiggled the remote. Careful, old friend. If you don't let me go, well, let's just say the cures will be permanently unavailable. Leary's jaw tightened. Then, just when he thought things couldn't get worse, a familiar figure stepped out of the truck, in a pinstripe suit, with a smug grin. Leary's tail whipped the floor again. The shady panda from the pharmacy took off his disguise. Underneath wasn't a panda at all. It was Chad, the cheetah. Leary froze. You? Chad smirked. Miss me? Leary scowled. I knew something was fishy. Chad chuckled. Yeah, you're real smart. But guess what? Greedy grinned. You're outnumbered. Leary's mind raced. 2 villains, a truckload of stolen cures, a remote, he had no idea what it did, and 3 tied-up henchmen, which, let's be real, would probably escape in less than 5 minutes. Not good. Not good at all. Leary had to think fast, because if he didn't get those cures back, a lot of innocent people were going to suffer. To be continued. Like and subscribe so you can stay tuned for the next installment of Leary, the Suspicious Crocodile, and the Cure Conundrum.